I'm 32 years old, working as senior software engineer at tech firm. Been here for 7 years, and we have great reputation. Company specializes in enterprise software solutions for major corporations. Team is about 60 people, mostly engineers and project managers. Our founder and CEO retires after 20 years and sells company. New CEO comes in named Margot, who is 38 and vocal. She worked in tech diversity consulting before and has strong opinions. First company meeting, she and we need to transform our culture. Says the company is too male and too white completely. Says we need to reflect the diversity of the world. Announces new hiring mandate that prioritizes underrepresented groups first only. Says merit will still matter, but diversity is primary consideration. Some of us push back saying hire best candidates regardless. Margot says that is exactly the problem with tech industry. Says diverse teams perform better and bring different perspectives to problems. Says anyone uncomfortable with this should consider if this company fits. My coworker Brett asks how we define underrepresented in this context. Margot lists women minorities, LGBTQ, and other marginalized groups, specifically. Brett asks if that means straight white men will not be hired. Margot says they have been overrepresented for too long and need to step back. Another coworker asks what happens if best candidate does not meet diversity criteria. Margot gets visibly annoyed and says that question assumes diverse candidates are not best. Says unconscious bias makes us think white men are more qualified automatically. Says we need to retrain our thinking about what qualifications really mean. She brings in new head of HR named Felicity, who shares vision. They implement new hiring process that scores candidates on diversity first. Qualifications and experience are secondary factors in evaluation process. Now they want to hit specific demographic targets within 6 months. Felicity sends out email detailing the new scoring system for candidates. Diversity score is worth 50 points out of 100 total possible. Technical skills are worth 30 points, and experience is worth 20 points. Several people reply asking how this makes sense for technical roles. Felicity responds that research shows diverse teams outperform homogeneous teams always. Says focusing too much on technical skills perpetuates existing inequality in field. Says we need to prioritize potential and culture fit over traditional metrics. Some people respond again, but Felicity stops replying to criticism emails. We have 3 senior engineers leave within a month after announcement. They say they do not want to work where merit does not matter. Margot says good riddance to people who cannot handle progress happening. Says we will replace them with better, more diverse talent. One of them is my friend Kyle, who has been here 9 years. He tells me privately he saw the writing on wall immediately. Says companies that prioritize ideology over results always fail eventually. I tell him maybe it will not be that bad and to give it time. He says he is not sticking around to find out what happens next. Says his skills are in demand and he will find somewhere that values him. I wish him well, and part of me wishes I was leaving too. But I have a mortgage and family, so I need to stay stable. Recruiting starts and we get flooded with applications from everywhere. She posts on social media about actively seeking women and minorities, gets a lot of attention from diversity advocates who share widely. Hundreds of applications come in from people who may not have applied. Margot does interview with Tech Publication about our new hiring approach. She talks about dismantling the patriarchy in tech one company at a time. Says she is proud to be leading the charge for real change. Article gets shared widely, and we get even more applicants after. I am on the hiring committee for my team needing 2 senior engineers. We interview about 15 candidates over 3 weeks for open positions. 5 of them are extremely qualified with 10+ years experience. But Felicity tells us those candidates do not meet diversity requirements. One candidate named VJ has 12 years experience at top tech companies. His technical interview is flawless, and he clearly knows his stuff completely. But Felicity says he is Indian man, which is overrepresented in tech. Says we need to prioritize women and black candidates specifically for these roles. Another candidate named Jennifer has 11 years experience and great background. She does well in technical interview and seems like perfect fit. But Felicity says she is white woman, which does not meet highest priority. Says we should focus on Black or Latina women specifically if possible. The candidates who meet diversity requirements have much less experience overall. Most are junior to middle at best, with maybe 3 to 5 years. I raise concerns that we need senior level people for these roles. Margot says we can train people up and potential matters more. One candidate named Shanice has 4 years experience and is a Black woman. Her technical interview shows she knows basics, but struggles with advanced concepts. I write in my feedback that she needs more experience before a senior role. Felicity tells me that feedback is problematic and shows unconscious bias. Says I am holding her to higher standard than I would white male candidate. I show her my notes from other interviews proving I am consistent. Felicity says the very fact I am being defensive proves the bias exists. Tells me to revise my feedback to be more positive and supportive. Another candidate named Yania has 5 years experience and is Latina. She does better in technical interview, but still clearly not senior level. My manager agrees she is not ready, but Felicity overrides our concerns. Says both candidates show high potential and deserve the opportunity to grow. We end up hiring Shanice and Yania for the 2 senior engineer positions. Both seem smart and capable, but clearly not senior level yet. They struggle immediately with the complexity of our projects and clients. I spend half my time mentoring them instead of my own work. Same thing happens across the company as we fill positions with diversity. Marketing hires someone with almost no B2B experience because minority woman. Project management hires someone who never managed clients before for diversity. Finance hires someone who just graduated because he fits demographic targets. Sales department hires a woman who has only done inside sales before. She struggles with the complex enterprise sales cycle and long deal times. Loses 3 major deals in first 2 months because lacks experience needed. Margot says she just needs more time and support to develop skills. Operations hires someone who has never worked in tech before at all. He comes from retail background, but is gay man, so meets diversity criteria. Cannot understand the technical aspects of our service delivery at all. Spends months trying to learn basics while operations falls behind schedule. Within 3 months, the company feels completely different than before. Honestly, a lot of institutional knowledge is gone because experienced people left. New hires are learning on the job, which is slowing everything down. Projects are taking longer and quality is noticeably declining from before. I am working 60-hour weeks trying to cover for inexperienced team members, training them while also doing my own work and managing client expectations. Several other senior people are in the same boat and starting to burn out. We raise concerns in meetings, but Margot says growing pains are normal. She says we are investing in people's potential and it will pay off. Says traditional hiring has failed to create diverse teams, so this is necessary. Says if we truly believed in diversity, we would be patient with process. Makes anyone who complains feel like they are the problem, not the situation. One of our mid-sized clients complains about missed deadlines and quality issues. Project that should have taken 2 months has stretched to 4 months. They threaten to leave if we cannot get back on track quickly. We scramble to fix things and barely save the relationship by working overtime. Margot addresses this in all-hands meeting, saying we had some execution challenges. Says it is because the team is still adjusting to new members. Promises things will improve as new hires get up to speed fully. Does not acknowledge that the new hires were not qualified for roles. Another client has a critical bug in production that takes days to fix. Our old team would have fixed it in hours with their experience. New engineers do not know the code base well enough to debug effectively. I end up fixing it myself after they struggle for 2 days. Client is furious about the delay and response time to critical issue. They send email to Margot expressing concerns about our technical capabilities. Margot responds with apology, but says we have restructured team for future growth. Client is not satisfied with answer, but stays because contract locks them in. Our biggest client is a Fortune 500 financial services company here. They have been with us since beginning and account for 30% revenue. We are up for renewal on major 3-year contract worth $10 million. This contract is crucial for companies' financial stability and future growth. They have quarterly business reviews where we present our work and roadmap. Last few reviews have not gone as smoothly as they used to before. They have noticed delays and quality issues creeping into our deliverables. We have been making excuses about team transitions and growing pains. The client asks for a meeting to discuss renewal and review our team. They want to meet engineers who will be working on their account. We put together a presentation and bring our team to their office. I am there along with Shanice and Yenia and few other seniors. Client CTO and VP of engineering are in the meeting with us. They go around table and everyone introduces themselves with background. When Shanice introduces herself, she mentions her 4 years of experience. Client CTO looks surprised and glances at his notes from before. When Yenia introduces herself, she mentions her 5 years of experience. Client's VP writes something down and looks at CTO with concerned expression. I can see them doing mental math about experience levels on team. The energy in room has shifted from friendly to skeptical quickly. Client CTO asks about our team composition and notices very different from before. Asks where Garrett and Andre went, who were lead engineers on account. Margot says they moved on and we have fresh talent with new perspectives. Says change is good and brings innovation to how we solve problems. Client's VP asks specifically about Garrett, who had 15 years experience, says he really understood their systems and architecture deeply after years working together. Margot says our new team is equally capable and brings diverse viewpoints. Client's VP does not look convinced by this answer at all. Client CTO asks about experience levels of the new team members here. Margot talks about diversity and innovation instead of directly answering question. Says diverse teams have been proven to perform better in studies. Client CTO interrupts and says he asked about experience, not diversity. Margot looks taken aback by his directness in the meeting room. Says the team has the skills needed and we are confident in delivery. Client CTO looks at me and asks my opinion on the team. I am put on the spot and do not want to undermine my coworkers. Say the team is working hard and learning the systems quickly. Client CTO asks if they are ready to handle the complexity of renewal project. I hesitate for a second too long before answering the question. He picks up on my hesitation and his expression becomes more concerned. Client CTO looks uncomfortable and asks to speak with me privately. After I go with him to conference room and he closes door. Client's VP joins us and they both sit down across from me. CTO asks me straight up what happened to team that was working. Tell him honestly that company changed hiring priorities and several people left. He asks if new people are actually qualified to handle their complex systems. I hesitate because I do not want to throw my coworkers under bus. He says he needs honest answer because they trust us with critical systems. Tell him new team members are capable but do not have senior experience yet. Say we are working to get them up to speed, but taking time. He asks how much time until they are fully competent on their systems. I say probably another 6 months to a year, realistically speaking. Client's VP says they cannot afford that kind of learning curve on critical systems. Says they need people who can hit the ground running immediately. CTO asks if I'm confident new team can deliver on renewal project. I want to say yes, but cannot bring myself to lie directly. Say I will do everything I can to make sure we deliver. CTO says that is not what he asked, and he needs direct answer. Ask him to give us a chance to prove ourselves with new team. He says they have been with us for years, and this is concerning change. He looks concerned and says they cannot afford any disruptions or quality issues. Says their systems are too critical to their business to take risks. I understand where he is coming from, but do not know what to say. Meeting ends, and client says they need time to think about renewal. Walk back to main conference room, and Margot asks how it went. Tell her they have concerns about experience levels of new team members. She looks annoyed and asks what I said to make them concerned. Say I was honest about team experience and timeline to full competency. Margot gets angry and says I undermined the team in front of client. Says I should have been more confident and positive about capabilities. Tell her they specifically asked for honest assessment of the situation. She says sometimes you need to sell the vision, not just state facts. Meeting ends, and client says they will be in touch about renewal. Margot seems confident and says meeting went great and they will renew. I am not so sure based on private conversation I had with CTO. Tell Margot about his concerns, but she dismisses them as resistance to change. Says this is exactly the kind of bias we are trying to fight. Says they are uncomfortable seeing women and minorities in leadership roles. Tell her that is not fair because concerns were about qualifications, not demographics. She says questioning qualifications of diverse candidates is itself a form of bias. Next day, I get email from CTO asking for references on old team. He wants to know where Garrett and Andre went and how to contact. I send him their contact info, knowing they will probably tell him truth. Feel guilty, but also feel like client deserves to know what happened. 2 weeks later, we get email from client saying not renewing contract. They say they decided to go with another vendor who can better meet needs. Do not explicitly say why, but clear they do not trust new team. Margot is shocked and calls emergency meeting with leadership to discuss. She asks what went wrong and why would they leave after years. I explain that they had concerns about experience levels of new team. Margot says that is just excuse, and real reason is uncomfortable with diversity. Says they probably have biases against women and minorities in tech leadership. Tell her that is not fair, because they raise legitimate concerns about qualifications. She says questioning whether diverse candidates are qualified is itself a bias. Says this is exactly why diversity work is so hard, because people resist. Says we need to double down on commitment, not back away. I ask if she spoke to the client directly about their decision. She says no, because she does not want to give them platform for bias. I suggest maybe we should hear them out and understand their reasoning. She says there is nothing to understand. They made their choice clear. Other senior people in the room look uncomfortable, but no one speaks up. My manager tries to suggest maybe we move too fast with changes. Margot cuts him off and says there is no such thing as too fast. Says injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere and cannot wait. She pivots to talking about how we will move forward from this. Says we will be fine and will replace client with others who value diversity. Says this is blessing because now we work with companies who share values. Announces we will continue with diversity hiring mandate without any changes. Problem is that contract was 30% of revenue and no pipeline. We were counting on that renewal for our financial projections this year. Losing it means we need to cut costs immediately or serious trouble. Margot says we will figure it out and not to panic about setback. CFO tries to explain the financial reality of losing that much revenue. Says we need to either replace it quickly or make significant cuts. Margot gets defensive and says we will not sacrifice our values for money. Says companies that stand for something will always find clients eventually. Month later, and we have not landed any new major clients to replace. Several prospects we pitched to have concerns about our team changes and capabilities. Word has gotten around in industry that we lost biggest client and asking why. Margot tells us to say it was mutual decision, but everyone knows not true. I am in a pitch meeting with a potential client for large contract. They ask about our recent team changes and why senior people left. Follow Margot's script and say we are investing in fresh talent. The client asks to see resumes of team that would work on their project. When they see experience levels, they look concerned and ask questions. Say they need people with 10 plus years for their complex requirements. I try to emphasize potential and learning ability of our team. Client says they cannot afford the risk and will go with more experienced firm. Same thing happens with 3 other major prospects in same month. Clients want experienced teams and ours no longer qualifies for big projects. We are only landing small projects that new team can actually handle, but small projects do not generate enough revenue to sustain company. Margot calls another all hands and says we are going through transition. Admits revenue is down, but says it is temporary setback only. Says we need to tighten belts and everyone needs to sacrifice. Announces hiring freeze and cuts to benefits starting next month. People are confused because we just spent months hiring all these new people. Now we are cutting benefits for everyone because of revenue problems. Margot says this is about sustainability not about hiring decisions. Someone asks if maybe the hiring decisions contributed to revenue problems. Margot gets defensive and says the two things are completely unrelated. Says we lost one client due to their bias, not our capabilities. Says the market will recognize our value eventually if we stay strong. But people are skeptical and morale is dropping fast in office. She has to announce layoffs because cannot sustain current headcount without revenue. Ironically, some of diversity hires she brought in are let go because newest. This defeats whole purpose of diversity initiatives she was so proud of implementing. Shanice is one of the people let go, and she is devastated by news. She comes to me crying, asking what she did wrong at company. Tell her she did not do anything wrong. This is about money. She says she was told she was hired for her potential and future. Now that future is being taken away after only 4 months here. Feel terrible because she was put in position she was not ready for, then let go when the company could not afford the consequences of that decision. She was used as a diversity token and then discarded when convenient. This is exactly the harm that poorly thought out diversity initiatives cause. Yenia also gets let go, and she is angry about the whole situation. Says she left her previous stable job for this opportunity here. Now she is jobless after 4 months and has gap on resume to explain. Says she feels like she was set up to fail from beginning. She is right because we put her in senior role without senior experience. When she struggled, we blamed her instead of acknowledging bad fit. Now she is paying the price for leadership's ideological experiment failing. Wonder how many other people will be hurt before this is over. Margot announces layoffs as temporary measure until we stabilize financially again. Says we will bring people back when revenue recovers in near future. But everyone knows that is unlikely given trajectory we are on currently. People start updating resumes and looking for exits as fast as possible. Team morale is terrible, and people are updating their resumes looking for jobs. The company culture that was so strong before is completely destroyed now. People do not trust leadership, and everyone worried about their job security. Margot keeps saying, "We are going through transition, and everything will work out." She sends out inspirational emails about staying true to our values, quotes civil rights leaders, and talks about the importance of the mission. But people just want job security and competent leadership at this point. Her emails feel tone deaf given the financial disaster unfolding around us. I get approached by a recruiter about position at our former client's company. They remember me from meetings and want someone with institutional knowledge of systems. Offer is significantly better than what I am making now and stable. The client actually hired Garrett and Andre already and wants to rebuild old team. I accept and put in my notice, which causes even more panic. Margot calls me into her office and asks why I'm leaving. Tell her honestly it is about stability and direction company has taken. She says I am part of problem abandoning mission when things get hard. Say the mission should have been excellence, not checking demographic boxes. She gets defensive and says diverse teams are more excellent by definition. I ask if that is why we lost biggest client in doing layoffs now. She does not have response to that and just says I am free to leave. Tell her I tried to make this work but cannot stay on sinking ship. She says ship is not sinking. We are just navigating rough waters temporarily. I say good luck with that and finish out my 2 weeks. Watch several other senior people leave around same time as me. One of them tells me in confidence that Margot has been lying to investors, telling them the client left for reasons unrelated to our team changes. But investors are asking questions and demanding answers about financials. Margot is running out of time before they realize the full extent of damage. My last day is emotional because I genuinely loved this company before. Say goodbye to people who are still there, stuck in the mess. Many of them tell me they are jealous and looking for way out. The company that was once thriving is now barely hanging on. 6 months after Margot took over, and company has lost 40% of headcount. They are struggling to deliver on remaining client contracts with inexperienced teams. Reputation in industry has taken massive hit because quality issues and missed deadlines. Margot is still posting on LinkedIn about importance of diversity, but comments off. Hear through former colleagues that company is being sold at fraction of what investors paid. The diversity experiment failed spectacularly and destroyed successful company in months. Basically, new buyers are planning to gut leadership and rebuild with focus on merit. Margot will likely be out once sale goes through based on insider info. Investors are furious because they lost millions on her ideological experiment. They thought they were buying a profitable company with strong reputation. Instead, they got a mess that needs complete overhaul to salvage anything. Lawyers are looking into whether Margot misrepresented the company's condition during sale talks. She posts long message on social media about how patriarchy sabotaged her vision, says she tried to build something better, but industry was not ready. Blames clients for being biased and employees for not fully buying into mission. Takes zero responsibility for disaster she created with her ideology over competence. Says the real problem is that society is not ready for true equality. Says she was ahead of her time and history will prove her right. Says the clients who left were cowards who could not handle change. Ignores the fact that she destroyed a successful company in 6 months. Comments on her post are split between supporters saying brave and critics saying failed. Some people point out that prioritizing diversity over merit always leads to worse outcomes. She blocks anyone who criticizes her approach and calls them part of problem. Still insists she was right and everyone else was wrong about situation. One comment asks about the diverse employees she hired then laid off. Asks if she takes any responsibility for how her actions hurt them. She responds saying that is just capitalist system's fault, not her decisions. Says she gave them opportunities they would not have gotten elsewhere. Another comment points out that those opportunities lasted 4 months, then disappeared. Says she set people up for failure by putting them in roles above experience. She does not respond to that comment and instead blocks that person. Continues to control narrative by only allowing supportive comments through. I am at my new job now working with former client and things great. They ask me what really happened at old company and I tell full story. They say they made right call leaving because could not afford risk. Say they support diversity but not at expense of competence and delivery. My old colleagues Garrett and Andre are here too and we compare notes. They say they saw the disaster coming from first announcement Margot made. Say companies led by ideology instead of results always fail eventually. We are all grateful we got out before it completely collapsed. The client tells me they actually did reference checks with other companies, found out we were not the only ones with concerns about team changes. Several other companies had similar issues after working with us recently. That confirmed their decision to leave was the right business move. Think about how Margot destroyed successful company because of her ideology in months. She had mandate to prove point about diversity and refused to compromise. When reality did not match her vision, she doubled down instead of adjusting. Her employees and investors paid price for her stubbornness and refusal to see. The diverse employees she hired and then laid off were hurt most. They got brought in as tokens to meet quotas, then let go when money ran. They deserve better than being used as props for someone's ideological crusade about representation. Real diversity means hiring qualified people from all backgrounds, not lowering standards. Shanice sent me a message on LinkedIn asking for reference for new job. Feel bad because I cannot honestly say she was ready for senior role, but also was not her fault she was put in that position. Write careful reference focusing on her potential and work ethic instead. Yenia also reached out asking if I knew of any opportunities elsewhere. She is struggling to find new job because of gap and short tenure. Employers are skeptical about why she left after only 4 months there. She is paying price for Margot's failed experiment with her career. The senior engineers who left early were smart to get out before disaster. They saw where this was headed and did not want to be part. Kyle, who left the first month, is doing great at new company now. Tells me he has no regrets about leaving when he did. I should have left earlier too, instead of trying to make it work. Watching good company die because of bad ideology was painful and completely avoidable. But at least I got out before complete collapse happened finally. Some people stayed too long and now struggling to find new opportunities. Clients do not care about your diversity statistics. They care about results. When you cannot deliver because prioritize demographics over skill, they will leave. Margot learned this lesson hard way, but still will not admit she was wrong. Her company is gone. Her investors lost money and her employees lost jobs. The business case for diversity falls apart when you prioritize it over capability. Diverse teams can be great when they are also competent and qualified. But diversity without competence is just tokenism that hurts everyone involved. Margot never understood the difference between those two things at all. Sometimes diversity mandates destroy the very opportunities they claim to create for people. By lowering standards and prioritizing identity over merit, you hurt everyone involved. The best engineers want to work where excellence matters, not where they are checkboxes. Margot never understood this, and it cost her everything she was trying to build. Year later, and company is fully restructured under new ownership and leadership. They kept some diversity hires who proved themselves capable and let others go. Brought back focus on merit and excellence first with diversity as natural result. Company is recovering, but will take years to rebuild reputation that Margot destroyed. They brought back some of the senior people who left, including my old manager. He tells me they are basically starting from scratch, rebuilding everything. The new owners are furious about how much value was destroyed so quickly. They are using Margot's tenure as case study of what not to do. She has moved on to another diversity consulting role where she can push ideology. Probably will do same thing to another company and blame everyone else when fails. Some people never learn from their mistakes. They just find new places to repeat. The wreckage she left behind is someone else's problem to clean up. See her still posting on social media about leading diversity initiatives at companies. She frames her previous experience as successfully implementing transformative change, makes no mention of the company being sold for scraps after she destroyed it. Rewrites history to make herself look like a visionary instead of a failure. Sometimes mandating diversity over merit does not increase diversity. It destroys companies. Sometimes prioritizing identity over skill hurts the very people you claim to help. Sometimes the people screaming loudest about progress are causing the most damage. And sometimes a CEO's ideology can shatter everything that took decades to build.
If this confession kept you hooked, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We share powerful true stories every day that explore the complex realities of life.